Hey everyone, it's Stuart. Welcome back to the channel. It has been a while. I'm sorry, I'm sort of not sorry. I'll explain all that in a minute because it's wrapped into what I wanted to talk about with you today. So if you haven't noticed, I'm changing up the pace a little bit because I wanted to do a little bit of real talk. And today the video is about the design problem that I see in the concept of work-life balance. And I got to this realization actually through a confession that I have for you today. So this part isn't my confession, but let me build up to it. So I struggle to put out videos every 2 weeks, and you probably already noticed that. I try really hard to stick to a schedule, but the last few weeks, I just gave into that struggle. And the reason is I wanted to wholeheartedly welcome baby boy number 2. Yeah, he's cute. And I really love being a dad. It's pretty awesome. But as you can imagine, it also keeps me really busy too. It takes a lot of work. So between the night feedings and staying engaged with my 2-year-old son, also making sure that I'm being a good husband and staying fully committed to my full-time day job as a designer, all of that just keeps me very busy. Obviously, loving and caring for my family is probably the greatest contribution I could possibly make in my life. And especially when the kids are so young, it makes sense that it's going to take a disproportionate amount of my time. But, and this part is my confession, shamefully, over the past few weeks, I've been frustrated, I've been upset, I've been irritable, just plain moody because I couldn't invest more time and energy into my career and my side projects like this YouTube channel. So I tried in vain to make time for it. I mean, I stayed up way later to try and fit in time to shoot and write the script and publish it. But it put me in this vicious cycle of no sleep. And in the morning and the daytime, I would not have energy to be present with my work or my family. And then I would try to repeat that process, and it was just not sustainable. As I'm saying this and sharing this with you guys, I'm saying to myself, wow, this sounds so obvious. Of course, I should be focusing on my family. But honestly, greed and ambition kind of just hijacked my focus and hijacked my priorities. I mean, it got to a point where I was actually blaming my family for getting in the way of my career and my side projects. Just being honest, I mean, this happens to me from time to time. It's probably one of my character flaws. Once I realized this, I took some time to reflect and really think about why this was happening. And I think it comes down to 2 things. One, I just really love what I do. I love my career. I love all the tangential opportunities I have and the alignment I have with my hobbies. Also, I've been seeing the fruits of a lot of my effort. So this YouTube channel, for instance, I mean, more people are engaging with me through it. The channel is slowly growing, and all of this is just so exciting. The dark side of this is that I feel a lot of anxiety around all of this. So as you know, I made my career transition later in my professional life. So I feel like I need to catch up, and I feel I need to make every minute count. And any time that I spend away from it, I feel like it's time lost. I feel anxiety about it. Then of course, my subconscious kicks in. And I could tell that within me, there's some sort of thinking that's really off balance. And of course, my loving friends and family and my faith community help me take a step back, re-examine, analyze if my actions are really matching up with my priorities. And that's when I really get a chance to gain some perspective and get an opportunity to kind of redesign my life. And this may sound like a once in a while thing, but honestly, I think for me, it's really a daily practice. Every day you decide to do something, every day you decide not to do something, it's a choice. And you need to really constantly reevaluate and make sure that it's aligning with your goals, aligning with your priorities. So I mentioned that I see a design problem here, and here it is. In design, it's a common understanding that you design something for a single purpose, a single outcome. That's the way you maximize that outcome, and that's the way you get the best results. So when you say work-life balance, I believe it's actually a self-sabotaging concept. It makes you think that there's this equilibrium that you could strike, that you can achieve two outcomes in a satisfactory way at the same time, which I don't believe is true. There's always going to be something that is primary, and there is always going to be something that is secondary or tertiary. In essence, something is always being compromised. And with concepts like work-life balance, I think is much more helpful for the human psyche to be really brutally honest and even use harsh words. So for me, what's really helpful is to think about it as work-life compromise. To make sure that you're sober about what you're focusing on and what you're not focusing on. I don't mean to be all negative, and I'm not trying to crush this idea. What I'm trying to say is that the secret here is to be discerning about what you're going to be focusing on and for how long, and for us to be really aware and honest about what you're compromising on. In my case right now, my family needs to be the primary focus, especially when the kids are so young. But as you can imagine, as the kids get older and time goes on, there's going to be times when it will be okay for me to focus on something else primarily. However, as I'm saying this, I want to pull back a little bit, think a little more high level, and mention this. The moment I became a husband, the moment I decided to be a dad, I was compromising on something. And that compromise was on this idea of me wanting to be super successful in the worldly sense, or super rich in the worldly sense. At the time when I was thinking about marriage and having kids, I just didn't see that lifestyle really fitting with my ambitions. So I had to let that go. I've seen the clash of those two priorities really destroy families, and I just didn't see myself as an exception to that. If that was really my main goal, I might have gotten married later or had kids later, or may have not even done either. I'm not sure, but that was the compromise that I was making, whether it was implicit or explicit. So let's do ourselves a favor and just call it what it is. It's a compromise. It's a work-life compromise. And let's just work on learning how to make those compromises well, so that you and I can be holistically successful people. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you guys next time.